champagne rosé. It's my game. Please fill my cup, champagne rosé. It's my name. Please drink me up, champagne rosé.
What's going on? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, Gran Jefe. Get ready for another episode of Unpopular Opinion on this lovely Wednesday. Joined as always by my co-host, OG Raw. What's going on, bro?
Good morning, brother. How you doing this morning?
Hey, man, another day, another dollar.
Oh, yeah. Before we start the show, man, I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to all the troops, past and present. And some of you, you may know, Gran Jefe and I, we both are veterans. We know how it is to be out there in the field and
for sure, man.
And all around the world. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So thank you guys for your sacrifice. We support you guys all the way. Thank you again.
Every single day, we want to appreciate all you guys, especially the ones downrange, man, away from your family right now. That's a tough bid there. So we thank you for everything y'all doing. Let's get into this show today, man. What's up with the NBA, man? They done fined Anthony Davis $50,000 for him and his agent, Rich Paul, publicly. According to the CBA, you cannot publicly say you want a trade from a team. So what do you make of this?
The NBA really fined that man $50,000, man.
They fined him $50,000.
This to me tells me someone was big mad and someone wanted to make a statement. Honestly, I thought the investigation for this thing was going to go nowhere. And I really didn't think anything would come of it because we hear it all the time. Trade rumors come out all the time. And when people request a trade, usually the NBA break the news on it. So I don't get what the big deal was because Rich Paul, he talked to the New Orleans Pelicans first, right? Before he even talked to the media.
Whoa, yep.
So either way, the news would have came out that Anthony Davis wanted to trade. And I think what really happened is just like New Orleans, they cried to the league, and the league was like, all right, we just got to do something about it. Like, let's just fine him $50K, get it done with, and let's just already try to make this guy a Laker.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it as well. There's been plenty of people in the NBA that requested a trade that hasn't got fined $50,000. Kawhi Leonard didn't get fined $50,000, and he actually said his specific location. Paul George said, "I want out of Indiana," and named his specific location. He didn't get fined $50K. Kyrie Irving gave 3 teams that he wanted. He didn't get fined. Carmelo Anthony, I don't remember him getting fined. Jimmy Butler say, "Listen, trade me. How about that?" Told the owner. They going off on everybody. I didn't see Jimmy Butler getting fined $50,000. I think this is another case of the NBA or people hating on LeBron again. And I hate to be that guy, but when Dave McMenamin asks LeBron, "Hey, would you like to play with Anthony Davis?" and he answers the question truthfully and honestly, the NBA say, "Oh, we're going to launch an investigation," as if no other, and then, they go out to dinner together. Well, when D Wade and LeBron and Udonis Haslem went out to dinner, I ain't seen nobody making no big fuss about that. So it comes down to I don't know. I don't want to say jealousy because I don't know if anybody's jealous, but definitely envy is there for sure.
Oh, yeah, the envy's there for sure. And all Rich Paul said was his client was not interested in signing a contract extension and that he would like to be traded. Like,
he wanted to play for a competitor, consistently compete for championships.
That to me does not want a $50,000 fine. Like I said, the Pelicans are crying because they're losing a star player to LeBron James.
And who wouldn't be? I'll be mad as well. I'm losing my 25. And before we continue with this, we will have Matthew Lyle as promised. He will be coming up. We trust us. We got it. But to lose a 25-year-old stud that's averaging 30 points a game almost, that can give you 11 or 12 rebounds a game, 2 or 3 block shots, I would be mad as well. So I cannot blame the Pelicans for wanting to be mad, to be petty. I mean, that, This is your guy, and then 1 year he gets rid of his agent, signs LeBron's best friend, and then next thing you know, I want out. It's a tough pill to swallow.
But look, I like the league just finding the $50,000 and moving it on. You know, $50,000 to Anthony Davis is probably like $5. You know what I mean?
What they said he'll make that back in 8 minutes of game time. So yeah,
exactly,
he made that back.
I'd rather them be more proactive on the situation than letting it linger. You know what I'm saying? Letting it just stick around. We still got this investigation open. Like, for what? Just get the man the $50,000 fine. It's done now, so now we can shut up about it, and we can make him a Laker already.
Well, with that being said, nice little segue over. Matthew Lyle is waiting on the phone of Big Blue Breakdown, Cross Sport Network. Hey, man, before we get you in here, I was messing with you last night, and I see that you didn't want to acknowledge me at all. You were stuck in your KU rant or in your KU talk, and it was
UK. Don't get us confused with Kansas.
Sorry, my bad.
I didn't see you until it was too late because, the comments were coming in a different order, and so by the time I went down there, it just didn't fit. And there was another guy. I assume he was a Duke fan that I was having a discussion with him. So I was just like, I saw the eyes, but like I said, it was a little late. So I was going to say, I told myself, if I see Billy write anything else, I'll loop him in. And I kept a close eye on it. I never saw anything but the wondering eyes. So I just assumed you were just stopping by to see what I had to offer, and you'd be on your way. So
yeah, I had, I put up there the Cameron Crazies, and I was like, yeah, I'm sure he's going to say something about this, but you never did. Nonetheless, though, man, I haven't talked to you really outside of text message on this situation.
Let me say, I have been dying to jump in. I've been so busy doing other things. I do more than I should, but not as enough as I want. I am.
Sounds about right.
I've been exploding to talk about this, so I am ready for anything. Kentucky, obviously, I have a show for it, but anything sports related outside of Big Blue Nation, I'm just exploding to get into.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on before we get to the fine? What's your just general thoughts on this Anthony Davis asking out for a trade? And the second part of that question, do you think it'll happen before the February 7th deadline?
So I think the trade. No. So first off, I don't think a trade's going to happen before February 7th. I think the comments coming out saying I want to be traded are more for looks, basically. Because let's be honest, Anthony Davis seems set on going to LA, and LA seems set on giving the world for Anthony Davis. Do you really want to go there? And you show up to the locker room, and there's LeBron James and 5 guys from the G League. I don't think, especially with LeBron James trying to figure out where he's at with this injury. I think it's just a show to say I'm ready to move on. Now, obviously, that's why he didn't say it. I think he went to his agent and said, "Hey, let's put this out here. Let's make it known. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for the next chapter of my life." Because if they give up what they've been talking about, that's Kuzma, Ball, Ingram, picks, that's not much of a team. I mean, it will be.
I would give it up for him.
No, I would. If I'm LA, I'd do that. But if I'm Anthony Davis, do I want to tear down the house I'm about to live in? When you can wait a little longer and go there and pretty much handpick your teammates. So I don't think it happens before February 7th. Now, will it happen in the offseason? I don't know. Something I'm more interested in is, do teams that are bad but have ego? Because, look, if you're the Lakers, you don't have a problem putting butts in seats. You don't have a problem getting on ESPN. You don't have a problem with any of those factors. Those are already done because you're the Los Angeles Lakers. Your problem, if you're LA, is you want to hoist up that gold basketball. You want to hoist up that trophy. What about teams that are big named, but they're struggling to put butts in seats? Knicks, Bulls. And they're just egotistical enough to think, almost like that little kid in elementary school or middle school that thinks if they sit next to their high school crush for 2 hours, they'll fall in love forever, that if we bring Anthony Davis here for a year, that Madison Square Garden can convert him to sign an extension. That if the Chicago Bulls bring him to Chicago, his hometown will lure him to signing an extension. And both these teams, they can give the world to get him there. So that's what I'm more interested to see. Do teams that really have no shot of winning with him, have no shot of signing him long term, but just happen to be egotistical enough to give up a potential top 5 pick, a Kristaps Porzingis, I don't even know what Chicago has anymore. Just giving things up just to put him in a jersey for a year. That's what I'm interested to see, because if apparently he wants to go to LA, and I think that'll work itself out. But what about these teams that says, hey, LA, you can give some role players. We're going to give you the unicorn and the number 1 pick. I'm interested to see who just happens to be stubborn enough to try to make that happen.
Yeah, for me, I think this whole thing falls back to Anthony Davis and what he came out and said, because I read a report that said Anthony Davis already stated that he wants to go to LA, and that if any other team decides to grab him off this trade wire, that he's gonna not sign a contract extension with him. The only team he is willing to sign an extension with is LA. So this tells me, like, a lot of teams, that discouraged a lot of teams from even trying to go after this guy. Because, hey, I'm going to give up what to get who for 1 year? Nah, if he ain't going to win me a championship in 1 year, I don't want him on my team. If I'm a GM or or owner, I wouldn't want that guy. So I'm not giving up anything unless I'm LA. LA should be the only one trying. And this kind of sweetens the deal for LA, I think, because the Pelicans know now that he's only, LA are the only ones that want him, really, because they can get the most value out of LA. Any other team? No, I don't think so.
So and that's why I find this so interesting, because you're absolutely right. But there's 25 teams that have no dog in this fight. Get them out of the way. I don't care what anybody says. 25 teams absolutely stand no chance. LA says we have some of the leverage because he wants to come here. Boston says he doesn't really want to be here, but we're good enough that we can give you some assets and win 1 title. Then you got the teams like the Knicks, Bulls, and Heat that are in bigger cities that rely on putting entertaining products on the court to put butts in the seats. And they're probably thinking a year and a half of Anthony Davis will equal more money than 5 years of washed ups and G League players. Like, if you're Miami, you're thinking, I can have Tyler Johnson and a washed up D Wade, or I can get a year and a half of Anthony Davis. Yes, he's not going to resign, but what's that going to do for my team monetarily? I think that's where I find interest, is the 3 teams that stand no chance to keep him. They stand no chance to win with him, but they still are going to find value in putting number 23 or whatever number he chooses to wear in one of their jerseys for a year and a half and try to do kind of like what the Raptors did. All signs pointed that Kawhi Leonard was not going to re-sign there, but they said, you know what? Screw it. We're going to try to make this work. That's where I find the intrigue.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I said earlier in the week that this trade would happen before the February 7th deadline. I'm going to walk those comments back, and it's only really because of, are the Pelicans going to want to do business with the Lakers on top of LeVar Ball already coming out saying we'd rather be traded to a team that doesn't have an established point guard, which now that's telling the Pelicans, well, we're going to lose Anthony Davis, and then in a year or two, we're probably going to lose Lonzo Ball as well. So I think that factor is gonna make this trade linger into the offseason. Plus, the Pelicans do themselves no justice, really, if they're doing business in just 10 days and not thinking about it. But about, do they want this distraction on their team for the whole year? Now, he's already said he don't want to play for you. He already said this team is not good enough to win a championship, and I want to go play for a team that does win championships. How is that going to sit well with the players that he has them to play with? So New Orleans may be forced to move him. Kyrie Irving, a guy who I want to ask you about a little bit later on. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and ask you about Kyrie right now. There's been reports from Chris Haynes saying that there's growing uncertainty that he probably will not re-sign with the Celtics. Nick Wright of First Things First said even last week before this news came out that phone call from Kyrie Irving to LeBron James was a little bit more than, hey, I apologize for being a knucklehead. It was more down memory lane. Hey, do you remember we used to do this? The next day, LeBron gets on Instagram, and he's on Instagram, and he posted and he tags Kyrie in one of his Instagram videos of a song with his umpteenth million followers. What do you make of this Kyrie situation with Kyrie with rumors being guys in Boston fearing that Kyrie Irving probably won't re-sign, which is going to impact the Anthony Davis, which is kind of why all of this is tied up.
So it's weird because in Boston, I think the only people who are deathly afraid of that is the fans of the Celtics, of him leaving. Because I'll be honest with you, I think Brad Stevens does his best work when he has a bunch of decent guys. He did it at Butler. He did it at Boston. I mean, obviously, you're better with a guy like Kyrie, but I feel like he himself gets the most out of his team when he can go to Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart. So I don't know how well he's really sweating or willing to – I don't know how well they're willing to bend over backwards to make Kyrie happy. As far as this Kyrie and LeBron thing, now, obviously, I know nothing of these two personally, but one thing I find most interesting when I watch sports – is the love lost, not between them, but that you hear in Shaq and Kobe's voice when their careers are done, and they realize that if 10 years ago or however long it is now, if they would have put their pride aside and said, "Bro, this is our team," how many championships they could have had? You hear it.
Too many.
You hear it.
Too many.
You hear it in Scottie Pippen's voice. Michael Jordan doesn't talk much, but you hear it in Scottie Pippen's voice. If everybody involved, the team, the coach, and the front office would have just calmed down a little bit in 1998, 1999 and 2000 could have been more titles. So I think LeBron's got a good head on his shoulders. I think LeBron knows, and Kyrie does too, that this is only a limited run. This, in the scheme of life, you're only going to do this 20 years. You know what I'm saying? At most.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, absolutely. If you're the elite. If you're that. So you're saying to yourself, man, we can hate each other in 20 years. Let's try this again. Let's see how much more we can do again. Because you hear it in Kobe's. Now, I think Kobe and Shaq both got 2 more. Shaq at least got 1 and Kobe got 2. You hear it saying, man, that could have been, the steal from LeBron James at Miami, not 5, not 6, not 7.
They could have done that.
They could have done that. And
they could have done that.
And I think at certain points, and almost like every community has it. If you're just a normal person, you go off to college. You even hear a joke about Rumspringa, where people of different religions go out and they just sow their oats for a little bit. Kyrie got to be the guy for 2 years. And guess what? It's probably not what you thought it was going to be, especially in this era. Your one all-star isn't going to get it done anywhere. So you probably start saying, hey, let's put all this friction aside for 5, 6, 7 more seasons total, for everybody, and see what we can make happen. We made it happen once. We could have had a couple, twice if Kyrie didn't get hurt in the first finals. What could we have if we could put this aside and bring in the like of an Anthony Davis? Now, if you want to talk on-court scheme, I don't know how well all that'll work, Kyrie, Anthony Davis, LeBron, but emotionally, off the court, I think that bridge is starting to be connected, and that's what I think happened. They're looking at other people, other greats from other generations who says, man, if my pride hadn't gotten in the way, how many rings would I have on these hands?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. I can definitely see that.
You got something, bro?
Yeah, so I'm gonna caveat what Matt said. Like with Kyrie, I do believe like he saw the light. You know what I mean? He saw the light when they took a loss to Orlando, a team that they shouldn't be losing to, or that anyone really should be losing to, other than the Cleveland Cavaliers.
He lashed out about
the Suns. That. Yeah, and he lashed out on his teammates. He lashed out to the media. And like no one really even asked him about what really happened. He just came out and said it. You know what I'm saying? All subtle. No one really said, "Hey, so we heard you call LeBron." No, he said, "Look, I called LeBron. I had to call Bron." Like, that's what he said. I had to call Bron. So this to me tells me a lot about what's going to happen in the future, man. I do believe Kyrie goes to the Lakers pretty soon. I do believe they make that happen. I don't think he will sign with Boston. I know yesterday I said maybe he will, but now that I'm looking at the bigger picture and from Matt's point of view, I'm thinking he goes to the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, it really benefits him. If you got something, go ahead, Matthew.
Well, all I was going to say, no, go ahead, because I was going to take the super team concept in a different direction. So please go ahead, Billy. I don't want to.
No, okay. So what I was going to say is I think signs do point there. Now, everything depends on New Orleans, really. Everything depends on New Orleans. I watch Nick Wright a lot. He's a really, really smart guy. He talks to a lot of NBA people. And the only way that all of this could work is if Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is not included in this trade to New Orleans. Now, New Orleans could be petty and say, yeah, give me him, but if they can keep Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, that's 30, and they'll be able to get rid of that contract and have up to $30.5 million in cap space, which could sign a Kyrie Irving, which could sign a Klay Thompson, who we're going to get into a little bit later. I want to ask you about the Super Bowl first before we get to Klay. But $32 million would be the max for those guys. Do you think that Kyrie Irving will take 30.5 to go play in LA if they can get Anthony Davis? I sure think so. That's the only reason why Anthony Davis was even rumored to be wanting to go to the Celtics, because he wants to play with Kyrie Irving. That's been well documented. And now that there's the uncertainty of him wanting to re-sign with them, I think that's why you've seen the report yesterday or the day before that Boston is not on his list of priority. Now, he can go to the Knicks, as you pointed out earlier. They would have to get rid of Porzingis, but is the Pelicans going to sign for a 7-footer coming off a torn ACL that hasn't played any basketball?
Well, I mean,
maybe they do it just to be petty. Because from the reports, Pop didn't want to do any business with the Lakers. It was nothing. It didn't matter what they pushed out there. Popovich wasn't going. So could the Pelicans do that? I'm sure they can.
Absolutely. And who's to say? Let's be honest. I mean, we can look at it one way or the other, but who's to say that a Porzingis coming off an injury is any less of a risk or more of a risk than trying to rebuild? Because essentially, now that you have Julius Randle, if you bring in Ball, Kuzma, Ingram, and somebody else, you essentially have the Lakers of 2 years ago.
This is true.
So, I mean, is there any more risk of getting Kristaps that's coming off a knee injury than rebuilding the 2016 Lakers? I don't really think so. So, I could see it happen. And if desperate as New York could be, you potentially get a number 5 pick, which this year the draft's not amazing, but the top looks pretty good. There's a chance you get RJ Barrett. I don't think he's slipping, but you get a Cam Reddish, Keldon Johnson, the kid who can jump
even
out the
the
gym.
Bobo, he's hurt right now.
Exactly.
But I mean, who wouldn't need a Bobo?
So this draft isn't very good. That's why I think you're going to see a lot of guys try to push picks, because the draft's really good in the top 10, but outside of the top 10, you start saying, maybe you start shrugging. So
right,
I do have a question.
And the Kings keep losing, So that Kings pick, that Boston guy, is looking really, really good right now.
Exactly.
That Memphis pick is, oh Lord, Memphis could be the worst team in the NBA.
Because if you're Boston, let's be honest. Let's talk about this for one quick second. If you're Boston, you got to ship that pick, because you're a good team, but the last thing you need is another stinking small forward. So you don't need RJ Barrett or Zion Williams,
and you still have your first round pick,
right? So because there was talks or Keldon Johnson, because a lot of the mock drafts have you taken Keldon Johnson and then turn around taking PJ Washington. So you don't need Keldon. You could take PJ. No. You could take PJ at the bid, because Keldon plays exactly the same as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, maybe better, maybe worse, depending on how he progresses in his career. So you don't need that first pick. So get rid of that. My thoughts early before we move on is real quick. I heard y'all talking when I came in about this fine. I think the NBA is scared as crap of LeBron James. We can have a debate all day. Who's the best player in the league? Is it LeBron? Is it KD? Is it Davis? Is it Giannis? But better or not, the most influential man in the league is LeBron James. And
most definitely.
Everybody crapped their pants when he sat down to that lunch Billy was talking about with D. Wade and Haslam and started talking to Bosch. Everybody did not know what to do because it was something we had never seen, that a player could walk in and say, let's make this happen. You know, when you look at other super teams, you're like, oh, man, it's a great GM. But when that happened down in Miami, that's LeBron. Yep. LeBron could be the same. LeBron's the same guy that could create his own shoe brand, sign Anthony Davis to a $100 million deal, and then Anthony Davis decided to take a less basketball contract because he's making the money in the shoe deal. And even though that's shady and in a gray area, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to stop it? So the NBA is scared of – look, the NBA – let me take this back. Adam Silver and the NBA like LeBron. They like what LeBron's bringing, especially in a big market like LA. The other 29 owners are scared. So
they hate it.
They hate him. This little $50,000 fine was a way for
LeBron played that.
Well, the $50,000 fine was a way for Adam Silver to keep shoveling this under the rug because he likes that this is happening. But at the same time, go to the other owners and say, hey, see, I punished him. So
exactly.
That's all
because
it was.
that $50,000 was the most that they could find a player without that player filing a grievance. So it was right at that line of, hey, we got to do something. Let's not do it too much because we'll lose this, because they have no really, you know, all those players I named, none of those guys got fined. And then you find me. Why? Because you have a bunch of owners mad and they being crybabies right now. They're trying to went right to that line and stop.
Exactly. They're trying to rein in what power they think, because LeBron has a power that no one else in the business does. If you're a player, you're not as persuasive as LeBron. If you're an owner, you're not allowed to be as hands-on as LeBron is allowed to be. So they hate this. And if I'm LeBron, props to it. Now, obviously, I want the Golden State Warriors to get Anthony Davis and be the world's greatest team ever. But when you got a
hey, I've been seeing trade proposals about the Warriors getting Anthony Davis, and I would just stop watching basketball. Honestly, I couldn't do that.
We talked about this when we first started talking. When we talked Anthony Davis, 3 months ago? The best way that they're going to get Anthony Davis is let Anthony Davis stay in New Orleans for the remainder of his contract. Next year, Golden State signed Kevin Durant for one more year. And then the next year, you basically only sign Steph and Clay, let KD, Draymond, and Boogie go, and then you go back the truck up to Anthony
I wouldn't
Davis.
even want to do that. I wouldn't even want to do that.
Man, I wouldn't even watch the NBA no more.
I
wouldn't even watch the NBA.
It's love. You know, if you're Anthony Davis, it's love. Because, hey, do you want to shoot a three? Be my guest. Do you want to sit down and grab easy rebounds? Be my guest, because they're going to be there. Because when you're a great shooter, there's no such thing as a bad miss when you're Steph and Clay. Even the misses.
KD will go to the Lakers then.
I would hope so. Something got to balance this out.
But let's not take this off in a crazy area. But did you see that that the Wizards are talking about trading John Wall for Mike Conley? And a lot of Kentucky fans are up in arms like that's not an equal trade. Maybe it's not. But what they want to do is they want to get that Mike Conley deal, dump it, so the Wizards have all the money in the world to just run.
Mike Conley is one of the most underrated point guards in the NBA. If he wasn't in the Western Conference, this guy would probably be a 8-time All-Star already.
It's been that way since he was at Ohio State that one year, and he was overshadowed by Greg Oden. I mean, it's been because it was Greg Oden plus that other
Gregory Oden. You know? Yeah.
And then he goes to Memphis, and then he gets partnered with Pau Gasol in New York. And you got Tony Allen there, and you got Zebo.
And you're in Memphis. You're in Memphis.
Yeah, in Memphis. So it's just Mike Conley. Moving on, though.
Let me ask you guys.
To the NFL. Go ahead.
To segue, I got a quick question for you two. If you guys were GMs, what's more difficult? Being an NFL GM where you have to deal with 53-man rosters, a hard salary cap, aging, trying to be ahead of the curve, all that, or NBA where I get my mind blown trying to watch all these regulations that the NBA has. Player A can't, the salary cap can be waived if you trade for player A. Player B can't be traded for player A because player A was traded for player C. Player C signed this type of contract, so you can't try to, it's just so much regulations you got to jump through to get anybody. To you guys, if you were general managers, what would be more difficult for you?
I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead first. You go first.
So for me, I think being an NBA GM might be a little bit more difficult because the goal at the end of the year is to win a championship for every team. At least it should be. You want to be able to compete for a championship. And in the NBA, the way it's set up right now, it's only a handful of teams that are actually really out there competing for a championship. And the talent pool in the NBA is not as vast as the NFL. So that for me would probably make it the most difficult part, I believe. And football is a little different, you know what I mean? It's just a little different when it comes to the team aspect of playing the game.
Which is the reason why I would think being an NFL GM is harder. I mean, one, the obvious is you're dealing with more personalities. You know, you have a 53-man roster, but you also have, a 13-man or 10-man practice squad. So you also having to deal with all of these guys. And then you have to deal with the head coach and deal with all of his mess. I just think being an NFL GM is way tougher. And to me, it's harder to win. And basketball, if I can get a Tom Brady, guess what? I probably got a good shot. That's my LeBron. And Madden, if I can get a Tom Brady and a Gronkowski, well, that's my LeBron and Kyrie, and you can still win a championship. I just think in basketball, it's a little bit easier because you don't need as much talent to win as you do in football.
What?
That's
I'm gonna let you slide today.
I mean, it's a tough one.
Billy.
It's a tough one.
You're talking reckless.
I weigh on it all the time because Billy's right. It's easier to construct one good draft pick. You get a LeBron, the game changes.
Yes.
But Anthony Davis can't. Let's just say that they couldn't trade. You know, you mentioned it yourself. If they get rid of Caldwell Pope the right way, they can get Kyrie. If they get rid of him the wrong way, they can't. If they have one player on the roster that's a Derrick Rose rule qualifier, you can't trade for someone else. You know, I just think that gets confusing. But then you get to the NFL and
the CBA but the CBA it's a lot of stuff. I think either would be hard. I'm just saying being able to manage more personalities, having to deal with more stuff. You know, I just think and having to get more talent. I think it's harder in football.
All right. I'll let you take this on, Billy. I've been weighing that a lot.
Let's stay right here talking about football. Who wins the Super Bowl?
Well, that's to me. I'm going to say New England, but
not Matthew Lyle. Your heart.
So
what does the head of Matthew Lyle say? Who wins the Super Bowl?
So my heart says New England. My head says New England because I think for some reason Tom Brady has found a way to be more motivated than ever. He's turning everything into just a mulch machine, just tearing through everything he can. That they've shown you against the Chargers, who had a nice offense. They showed you against the Chiefs, who was a great offense. That we know how to offset your great offenses. We're just going to take 8 minutes of time to score. The run game's going. Tom Brady has perfected those little dink and dunks. Gronk has been probably the best blocker that I've seen all season, and then he can still make that nice catch. Jared Goff, big stage. I don't know. Does he make a name for himself? Who knows? It's going to be tough to see. Those receivers. Brandon Cooks made it to the Super Bowl last year. First catch, wham, he's out. Does he try to come back, overcompensate, make some bad plays? I tell you what, though, and I've been trying to rein in my New England brothers. So my heart says New England, my head says New England, but my superstition is a little nervous. Because if you look at the Super Bowls Tom Brady's been in, the first one, when he played the Rams the first time, they can't beat the greatest show on turf. They win. When they played they played the Panthers, I don't know if he can get away from that pass rush. They win. When they played the Eagles, I don't think they can keep up with McNabb, Andy Reid, and T.O. They win. When they played the Falcons, they can't keep up with Julio Jones. They win. When they played the Seahawks, they can't score on the Legion of Boom. They win. But look at their losses. Coming in, New England has been the heaviest fan favorite. I'm not talking about Vegas. I'm talking about the consensus on media. They've been the favorite. Tom Brady's much better than Eli Manning. Tom Brady's much better than Nick Foles. But both these teams had a capable quarterback with a legitimate D-line. What do the Rams have? A very capable quarterback with a really good D-line, and the media is talking about 1,000% New England Patriots. I'm a little nervous because I think in those games, the Patriots play a little lax until it's too late. My only hope is, for my superstition, that Tom Brady, who's making this, everybody thinks we suck. This Roby guy thinks I'm 40 or 50. And he had that video today where he's like, we love haters. That Tom Brady is going to be able to get over that with this somehow self-manifested hype that he's given himself.
You heard it here. Matthew Lyle going with the Patriots. You got a score for me?
Ironically, the biggest Super Bowl win the Patriots have had was by 6, and that was to the Falcons, which is definitely the closest game they ever played. I'm going to say 28-24, Tom Brady, game-winning drive, solidifies, I just feel like that's how this has been. Ironically, though, Tony Romo came out and said the score is going to be 28-24. The team with the ball last loses. I don't know. So what does that mean? Does Tom Brady go down and score with 6 seconds left? They punt. They kick it to Goff.
Hey, he's been a wizard. He's been a wizard lately.
So I'm
he's one of my favorite guys, honestly. And I normally don't watch with the sound on, but I love Tony Romo because if he's been doing this all season, people just now catching on to him doing this. He's been doing this all year long. He calls out plays. He calls out defenses. But it's a little bit different when everybody is watching, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to see, because I like Romo and I want him to continue to be right, I want the Rams to kick a field goal to go up 24-21 with 2 minutes and 3 seconds left. I'm calling it to an exact second. Then I want Tom to get the ball, go down and score.
Write this down, 203.
I got you.
The Rams take a field goal, go up 24-21 at 2 minutes and 3 seconds left. Tom Brady scores a touchdown. Well, I don't think he scores it. I think he leads the drive, and then they get like a 1-yard rushing touchdown to take a 28-24 lead with 14 seconds left. Jared Goff gets one big play, gets it to about the 50, and then throws an interception.
You heard that. You heard it here first. Matthew Lyle is Tony Romo 2.0.
2.0. Hey, give my man a job.
Yeah, give him for real.
If I'm right.
Defensive coordinator.
Hey. But I want to switch gears to a team that is near and dear to you, another team that is. And there has been rumors from that Klay Thompson, if he's not offered the max by Golden State and the Lakers are able to get Anthony Davis, he would be interested in going to the Lakers. Do you think it's smoke here, or do you think it's some fire to this?
Look, I think it's smoke that was started by a very, very small fire, because let's look at what you said. Who wouldn't be interested with playing with Anthony Davis? Who wouldn't be interested in playing with LeBron James? So I think there's interest. It's just everything else in this report doesn't sound like Klay Thompson. I mean, look, does Klay Thompson want money? Absolutely. But his dad is well off. His dad's been on record for saying Klay's happy in Golden State. Klay seems like Matthew McConaughey in that one movie where he said, all right, the whole time. He seems like the kind of person that the difference between $240 million and $180 million really isn't that big to him. He just whatever. I think he could leave. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a possibility because anything's a possibility. But I don't think it's going to be that hard to persuade Klay to stay in Golden State with Steph Curry. I think the Splash Brother thing probably means more to him than a max deal. I don't think everybody's like, oh, he's from California. Well, guess what? So are the Warriors. It's not that far from L.A., especially with the money he has in today's time. He could be wherever he wants to be in California in a matter of an hour. Probably be quicker if you took a helicopter anywhere with that L.A. traffic. So I just think there is some obviously, truth to anything of any player going anywhere as long as the money's there. I just don't think all that other thing around it really matters to Klay. Obviously, I say that as more of an observation. I don't know the man personally. But, and Billy, you know as well as I do, if I came out and I said Chris is wants to play with the Patriots, I mean, that's probably true. I mean, he would play, or he would love to play with Tom Brady. That's probably true. But there's probably no actual truth to that discussion. But just because I said it as an unnamed source, it's going to get legs. So I think there's some little truth to it, but I don't think there's a lot.
Bro,
Yeah, for me, like when I think about the whole Klay Thompson thing, I really think he would rather stay with Golden State. I don't think he's going anywhere. They're the Splash Brothers. They are what made Golden State Golden State. You know what I'm saying? And I don't believe, like Matt said, like the difference in money is not that significant to Klay Thompson. He would, I think he would rather stay in Golden State, you know, where his legacy is, where his brand is, where people know him and know what he does, and he knows what he can do with Golden State and you know, Steph Curry. I think he would rather stay there just because he knows what it is and he knows what to expect from it. Anything other than that, I think is just kind of like overkill for Klay Thompson. I do believe he could go somewhere else and ball out just because he's a hooper, but I think his best bet is just to stay with Golden State.
I hear everything. I hear all of that, but and this is why I believe that there's a lot of truth to this. You know, yeah, I get it. He's a Splash brother. Him and Steph, they've been doing this, but these guys know now, man. It's more of a loyalty thing, which is the reason why they said if Golden State doesn't offer him the max, which is already telling you that, hey, I don't really want to leave here, but if I feel that I'm not being proper thanked for what I do because you guys are trying to keep Kevin Durant, then I can go over here to this other team where my dad played, which I probably have a special place in my heart already for it. And guys like this, Chris Haynes and these guys aren't putting their names on stuff that isn't true. Yeah, I mean, this, you know, I get it. If I'm a small time reporter, yeah, maybe this guy's trying to be first on the story. These guys aren't putting their names to stuff like this. I'm sorry, that wasn't Chris Haynes. That was Adrian Wojnarowski that reported that. And Woj is the best in the business. So I think there's some real truth to this, that if he's not offered the max and the Lakers can pull this off, I think we could be seeing Klay take $2 million less to go play in the Lakers uniform.
See, I think to the loyalty on that, I mean, obviously, if it's so bad that they want him to take some kind of minimum, then obviously he's going to weigh his options. But if he goes in there and says, I don't really know how that all the numbers work, but if he says the max you can offer me is $250 and you give me $249, I think he's fine with that. I think, and honestly, I do think that's how this organization works. I don't think that they would offer, you know, they pulled the team together before they went after Kevin Durant. They pulled the team together before bringing in Boogie. I think that there's a pecking order. And I think Steph and Klay is at the top, that they sit down and they say, okay, here's our vision. What do you think? If the vision ever gets to, we want to bring in Anthony Davis and, I don't know, Blake Griffin, I'm just making, in addition to the guys we have, and they're like, we need everybody in here to take $50 million less, that's when I think people start sweating. But I think they go to Steph, I think they go to Klay, and they say, here's our vision. This is what we want, this new stadium. This is what we want 2020, 2021, 2022 to look like. Are you on board? And I'm not saying, I'm with you, Billy. There could come a point where they're like, no, I'm not. And then I think, or if Steph was like, you know what, I really want to go to Charlotte, where his dad played. And then I could see Klay saying, well, okay, that's what you're doing. I'll do this. But I think they are always considered. So if there's, the only way in my opinion, the only way he goes to LA is if he truly wants nothing else but to go to LA. If there's any part of him that wants to stay in Golden State will make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that the chances of him leaving Golden State are slimmer than Kyrie to LA or Anthony Davis to LA, but I just wouldn't rule it out, being that, you know, he gets a chance to be a Laker, probably something that he grew up wanting to do. and this guy already have the championships. I asked this question yesterday to Mike on RTF. If Clay win another championship, is anybody looking at him and his legacy any different? Is anybody saying, "Oh yeah, man, he's one of the best"? I don't think so. So what is winning more championships going to do? I also said Steph Curry got the same amount of championships as LeBron, and he's about to get his fourth. Nobody is going to say Steph Curry is a better basketball player than LeBron. So winning championships over there to the public and even to some of the NBA guys, nobody respect these. Nobody is respecting the winning. And that's the one thing players play for. They don't care about the writers. They don't care about the fans. They care about how are their peers viewing this. And I just think that if that possibility is there to go to the Lakers, he'll take it. But I think he's more likely going forward to be playing for the Golden State Warriors.
See, I think Clay. I think that's where the minor disagreements on this occurs, because I think Clay could care less about what anyone's appearance of him is. I think his goal is to play basketball and win championships. But I think if you did care, you're right. I mean, Clay could win.
Oh, these guys care. No, these guys care.
Look, if I'm from my takeaway, and this is where we can always disagree, but my takeaway of things that they care about, 1A, 1B is money, championships. Depending on what you have, you want the other. Then there's probably personal life. Do I have to move my wife? Do I have to move my kids? Because that's a hassle. I mean, this is a possession. This is a profession that is 82 games a year. It's 6 months plus 3 months of practicing, because it's basketball. You can practice all the time. That's 9 months. I think that's 3. 4 and 5 probably go other peers, what they care about. But my thing with Clay is the only legacy he's got going for himself, to be honest with you, if he cared at all about the legacy, which I don't know if he does or not, the only legacy he really has going for him is that he's the only unhated person on the Warriors. Everybody,
that's true.
Steph dances.
He's
too
my
much.
favorite Warrior. He's my favorite Warrior.
Steph dances too much. I hate him. KD the snake, the cupcake. I hate him. Boogie, Boogie and Draymond's easy to hate no matter what you think. I mean, I like them, but it's easy.
Draymond makes it easy to hate him.
Absolutely.
When
His
you're not,
face makes it easy to hate him.
When you're not good and you got great players around you, but you're acting as if like I'm the man, people hate that. Like real sports, it's like, why? Like, yeah, I get it. Yeah. Draymond acts like me when I play basketball. Like, that's me. I'm not saying I'm not good. I'm not saying I'm bad. I'm just saying I'm that guy that I'm going to talk to you every minute we're on the court. I'm going to be yelling in your face. And please don't let me continue to score on you, because it's going to never stop. So that's probably why I hate Draymond. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not telling a lie. That's me when I play sports, and that's probably why I hate Draymond so much, because it's like,
Draymond. I don't know if you guys watch, but somebody out there will get this reference. Draymond is the turtle from Entourage. He's the first. He's the first to spend the money, but the last to earn it. So if you ever watch Entourage, Draymond is turtle.
And that's why oh my God, I don't like Draymond, man. That's why I don't like Draymond.
If there was ever, if he cared at all about anybody's perception, which, I mean, whatever you want to say, that Clay's the only person on the Warriors that you don't hate. He doesn't really do anything to make you hate him. And he was winning titles before winning titles in Golden State was the thing to do. I mean, he's the one that led the first, and he didn't, everything. I'm thinking everything every hater everywhere has ever said, you cannot put that on Clay. Oh, well, Clay does nothing but shoots threes. Man, he shoots some good inside shots, too. Steph doesn't play defense. Clay does. Steph threw his mouthpiece. Clay didn't. Steph dances. Clay don't. KD bounced to a team that beat him. Clay never left. Draymond makes me want to punch you in the face. Clay don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it matters, and I have no clue what degree, but if any of that did matter to anybody, Clay's the only one that's immune from it.
Well, yeah, he's the one that don't talk. But
I will say, though, and this is me, I'm feeling froggy, I'm feeling Tony Romo-esque. Not only is there a better chance that Kyrie or AD goes there, I think there's a better chance, and I may eat my words, there's a better chance that Kyrie, Anthony Davis, and Kevin Durant all go there at the same time.
Oh, hell no.
Before Clay does.
Well, that's, and on that note, we're going to end it right there. Bold words by Matthew Lyle. Appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
For doing this show.
Always a pleasure.
We want to thank you guys for tuning into the show today. Continue to download the podcast. Bro, you want to take us out of here?
Oh, yeah. As always, I'm your co-host, OG Raw. Make sure you guys have a blessed day. Be kind to one another. OG Raw signing off. I see you, Matt. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Billy, I see you,
yes,
brother.
Yes, sir. All right, bro. See you guys tomorrow.